anyone can build a product in this era of vibe coding. Um, does that make you a product manager, or is the application of product management methodologies while building a product, is that what makes you evolve into product
It's always the
management?
why. What is behind the why? The why helps you understand, helps whoever is. Can you talk about the product that you built?
A lot of times we are driven by the crowd.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, the crowd says it's project management, and everybody, okay, everybody is going, and you end up like you don't even, your mind is not, it's not
yeah,
functioning in that direction.
yeah, yeah.
And because
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, um, because the journey, it's not a sprint. It's you
yeah,
can't keep moving across.
yeah,
If someone says, "What do you want?" So what do you
sure.
want? And for you to be able to compete at the highest level, right? Apart from
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I welcome everyone to today's podcast on the Voyage. I am your host, Chima Chiaka, and with me is my very good friend Nelson.
The Voyage.
I will allow him to do the introduction. He's an amazing personality, and today's episode is going to be a two-part series because there's a lot to unpack. And for those of us trying to figure out their way in the United Kingdom, you trust me, this is the session. This is the podcast. This particular one will give you clarity, especially those of us who are looking at the product tech role, product management tech role. This guy is a guru. He's somebody I've known for a very long time, and I will allow him take the stage now to introduce himself formally and tell us more about himself. So, Nelson, the floor is yours. Please tell us more about you.
no, absolutely. Thanks, Chima. Thanks for having me here. So my name is Nelson. I'm Nelson Uzenabor. I I am many things.
Mhm.
First, I am a father um,
Okay.
of two amazing, beautiful girls, and I, of course, born in Nigeria. I moved into the UK couple of years back. Just like everyone trying to sort of just find their way, into other areas. I started my career as a business analyst, actually. In fact, I'll take it a step back. I started my career in sales, right? And in business development, and then gradually moved into business analysis and then into product management.
Oh,
And then I I've been able to move into AI product management from product management, and then from AI product management to becoming an AI consultant, and then being a founder in running my startup, essentially. So I've been able to stack up on those skills over the years. I'm just giving myself a very strong competitive advantage. So essentially that's me with regards to career, family, and yeah, I live in the United Kingdom as well. So yeah, that's about
wow.
me.
Oh, wow. All right. So, the voyage is centered around sacrifices. Certain people have made to stand out, the culture shocks that they have endured in course of their journey in diaspora, the failures that nearly broke us, how we surmounted it, and the resilience that keeps us from rising. And it just beats me that your brief introduction is kind of like a sum of all everything, pivoting from sales to business analysis to product to AI product management to AI consultancy, because that's why it's a two-part series, because there's a lot to unpack from your career. And I think in this era coming to the UK where everybody's selling you something, project management, business analysis, it's very important that we are able to understand what each facet, and honestly your background tells it all. But before we go into that bit of our talk, i I want you to tell us about Nelson. what was Nelson in Nigeria before we know the Nelson in the United Kingdom as he is now, the AI consultant Nelson? What was it in Nigeria? Who were you in Nigeria? What did you do? And then also let us know why you chose to come diaspora.
Okay, so I think I've been fairly consistent, with what exactly I want to do with my life and what exactly I see out of the outcome of my life. In Nigeria, I worked in products, as well, but it was just one of those things you had to do. I think one of the first sort of people to work in products in Nigeria. But I just sort of knew that there is more beyond where exactly I was going to, with regards the structure of things, how exactly that sort of um, to have that level of transition that coming into a new society that required a lot of structure in place. What are the things I didn't know what exactly to expect in a new society. So yeah, I'd been a product manager. I'd worked in asset management. I'd worked in the bank. I'd done a few things, and I'd started playing around tech, just getting my hands as dirty as possible. But um, I'm building those transferable skills, right? So
Mm.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so my next question is this. A lot of times we see the successes, but we rarely hear of the sacrifices that we have made. When you started introducing yourself, you said, first of all, I am a father.
Hmm.
What are those sacrifices you had to make as a father to transition from one point to the other? Um, how has childcare been? How have you balanced, madam, the wife? Do you understand? How, because there's always a backstory. Even if they say behind every successful man, there's a woman. But you understand, you also have to give her her own time and her own attention. How have you balanced the home? What sacrifice did you have to make as a father first? So I'll start with you as a father. How did it balance?
Yeah, I'll take it a step back. First, as a husband, so because you need to be a husband before you become a father.
Amen.
Uh, um, I mean, for my own situation, right? It may not be applicable for everybody, but
So,
anyways, I think you need to sort of have a clear direction as to where exactly you want to go to, and then first of all, sell yourself on the vision of what exactly you want to see. Then sell your partner on the vision of what exactly they should see. So it's I don't think there is anything that is going to be worth doing if your partner is not fully on board. It will be tough. You most likely would achieve it, but it wouldn't be as easy as you would want it. So, personally, what I try to do is to constantly selling, constantly trying to convince, constantly trying to negotiate, across different areas of my life. Because I mean, everybody should be in sales and being a negotiator. But yeah, I think the first part is literally selling that vision to your partner to sort of understand what exactly that looked like. Number two is being a father is a huge level of sacrifice because whatever you're doing is it hinges on the back of your home, hinges on the back of the purpose, where exactly are you going to? Why exactly should you be doing this? Why exactly is this important in the first place? So there is that level of consciousness. And in terms of the sacrifice, there are times where I will do 18 hours days, consistently, just trying to literally optimize my skills, build on my skills. No one learned knew about AI, generative AI in the last 4 years, had to learn all of that from the ground up. And you had to pay your dues, put in that level of intentionality into the work. You have to put in the hours. There's something called the 10,000 hours rule where
Yeah.
you have to apply yourself. So some days I'm going 18, 19 hours just trying to learn a
Mm,
new skill, day in, day out. So this is not a one-off thing. An example of that is I was able to build my LinkedIn account personally from 1,000 followers to almost 10,000 followers. And that requires showing up every single day, right? You
mm,
needed to show up every single day. I built a startup that did 40,000 users. You needed to show up every single day, whether it's working,
mm,
whether it's not working.
mm,
Um, from going from being a business, from sales to being a business analyst, you need to just show up every single day, right?
mm,
Irrespective of whatever that look like, no matter your mood, no matter how you feel, you just have to be there to, because the competition is high,
yeah.
right? It's completely different from what it was 10 years ago. A young person coming out of school is most likely going to sweep the ground with you if you
Yeah.
do not apply yourself. So it's looking at what exactly are the alternatives if I do not apply myself. Would I prefer to be mediocre? Would I, especially in a foreign land, right? That's what you can play around, right? How
Mm,
can I ensure that I'm delivering the highest level of value first to
yeah.
myself and secondly to the society? And the only way you can do that is by applying yourself, consistently, and it requires you to. It demands huge level of hours from you to make that work. So yeah,
Um, um, repetitively, you've said something about having a vision, having a vision, having a vision,
yeah,
which I find very striking. And there's this scripture that says um, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run that readeth it. You
yeah.
understand? And you've also talked about selling it, selling. So I'm like, this guy, this man is bringing sales into family life, and I'm like, it's actually striking because the fact that you're able to align this vision, sell it to your partner or your spouse, as the case may be, um, so that when you start running, like putting in 18 hours, so you beat the 10,000 hour rule, then putting 18 hours, 20 hours, trying to develop yourself. And now look at what you've achieved. But you told us about the spouse part. What about the children part? How did these sacrifices impact fatherhood with you? Were there child care? How did you manage child care in the United Kingdom?
um, so first, there is you've got. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration, right?
Okay, that's a new one. Please explain.
Yeah, so you've got to bring your partner, you've got to bring your children into the things that you do, into the work
Uh,
that you do. I remember there was an era of my kids, by the way, are not in nursery just yet. It might not apply for every other person, there was a time where I had a role where I could work, quite flexibly, and then I had the kids at home because I just believed that I can do better than what the nursery is doing. And literally just having to sort of see the kids, they don't have a lot of time with you. I'm working, I have my kid literally under my desk, trying to write scribble or call or something. But
mm,
just part of that whole process together. Um, and in recent times as well, my partner has been on maternity leave, so been a whole lot of support on there. But I think it's literally just putting a whole lot of structure and timing in place. What are the things that you can do? How exactly would you go about that? What are the things that you would need to put in place, to ensure that you're delivering the highest level of value, with regards that itself, right? So, and it's being tolerant of yourself, right? Like, yes, you're not there just yet, but
mm,
um, um, the times where you can spend with them, you can spend with them, right? So,
mm,
example. And then there is a very, very strong routine, that we've been able to put in place. The kids go to bed at 6:30 p.m. They go to bed at 6:30 p.m. They're up at 8 in the morning. They go back for siesta or yeah sleep time again at 12. They're up again at 2 to 2:30. So it's if you don't put that structure in place, and TV is very, very limited. Maybe 3 hours of TV in the course of the entire week, right? So you just sort of have that level of organization, especially in this part of the world where you're sort of just trying to balance that whole process, across board. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. The key word here is work life integration. I've got that one. All right.
Yeah.
So the next question is this culture shocks. Let's talk culture shocks. And when you came to United Kingdom, tell us about something that normally you'd have uh, looked away, but you're like, I don't understand this. What's that one culture shock thing that stood out for you?
Mhm. So first, I'm an avid reader. I like being very prepared, like
Okay.
extremely prepared. I don't want to be caught unawares. So before I moved into the UK, I started reading about the culture, what exactly to expect, how exactly to expect that. But one thing that I noticed was in the world of work, um, where at the time I would have to go into the office, maybe once a week or so. But um, on that, it was the fact that colleagues had to wait after work, let's go to the pub. I didn't do that in Nigeria. Like, I'm done with my job, I need to go home or stay back in the office to work. So I thought it was okay, right, cool. This is part of the culture, this is part of the environment. I need to sort of just imbibe that, they call it fraternizing. Right. So
Right.
I think that was one that was quite new for me. You need to engage and to have the conversations, but again, it's just been as who you are. It's just been as natural as who you are, across board in itself. I think that was a big one for me. Like, okay, this is a bit different, but I'm still gonna be myself. If I don't want to have a pint of beer, it's fine as long as I'm just there. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. They do that a lot in my office. It's a no-no for me. I can't manage it, but it's fine. We don't have to accept it all,
Yeah.
but that's a good one. Let's talk about the rat race. A lot of migrants in the United Kingdom are caught up in the rat race. You enter the system. A lot of us that came in as students, and you have to pay the bills. There are jobs you cannot enter, get there. It's assumed that there are jobs that you cannot get, so you settle for less. You see senior bankers stuck in the warehouse just so that they can pay those bills, or they get into care or support so they can pay these bills, or they're into cleaning or one thing or the other. How did you? Because I kid you not, you've made so much advance. My relationship with you is as an outcome of one of the products that you founded with Prof. But before we get to that, how did you burst out of what was it like for you when you first came into the United Kingdom? And what were those things that you did to break away from it and launch out?
I think it's the mindset, right? I think it's the mindset. We must sort of have that mindset of not being relegated to the background. You can achieve everything that you want to achieve. First with the mindset. And once you put that at the back of your mind very, very carefully, you you prepare, right?
Yeah.
Adequately, because the environment demands some level of excellence, right?
So,
And if you cannot give that level of excellence, your mindset will keep failing you. So as much as you are thinking, oh, I should be able to get into this society. I should be able to get into this part of the economic environment. It's a bit different in Nigeria, where um, there is a level of demand that literally just gets you because you're not competing on a national scale anymore. You're competing on a global scale. You
Mm,
know, that level of thoroughness that needs to be worked on, across board. How
mm,
exactly do you go about it? So first is preparing, right? What exactly do you want to see? What does my mindset say about this? Can I achieve this? And if you've been able to convince yourself that you can achieve it, then you now need to do the work to achieve that, right? You cannot say, oh, yes, I should do this. I am supposed to have this, but you don't put in the work to have that, right? So there are
yeah.
two different things. I want to have it and then putting in the work to have that. So the first thing is you must want to have it, then put in the work in itself, right? So I think for me, it's about the mindset. I just believe that as long as someone has done it, I can do it, right? So as long as it's been done before, I can do it, right? I have that belief in my capabilities and the belief in understanding the work that I can put and the work ethic, that I can put into that. A lot of people do not have the work ethic. They have um the desires, and desire is not enough, motivation is not enough, discipline is what gets you there itself. Again, like I mentioned in the first part, it's not enough to want it, is not enough to start. It's enough, it's you must consistently keep through, you must stay locked in for years and years and years and years and years to deliver on that. So
Mm,
yeah, so that's for me. It's a, have the desire, yes, you can, and then have the discipline to match that desire.
yeah. But what did you do? Did you take some courses?
Okay.
What kind of jobs did you do initially? Then how did you pivot into, you know, because we are all like, there's a lot to unpack from you.
Yeah.
But I want us to let us learn from you. What did you do? What courses did you do? Or how did you pivot?
Absolutely. So first of all, coming to the UK, I was out of the role for 6 months, but I was working with my Nigerian employer at the time.
All right.
So um but I was out of the role for 6 months. And for me to integrate into the society, I had to take a lower role
All right.
in product, itself, right? But like I mentioned, it's about the application. How can I put in the work in the things that I do, you
All
know,
right.
understanding what exactly is applicable in the society, itself. I tell you, I wasn't tailoring my CV to different jobs, right? I just
Okay.
had two CVs, one for a product manager, one for a product owner, and then applying, with regards to
All
that
right.
itself, and then putting in a whole lot of work, in that process to say that I can do the job. I can do the job. Can I do the job? Because they need to see that you can do the job.
Yeah.
It's right. But for 6 months, nothing. I didn't have anything. I just kept on looking for a role in the market,
Okay.
itself. Right. So I didn't take a course, at the time, um, but I had a good level of preparation, itself. Another thing that I did was to try to build a startup, volunteer, and
Okay.
then um, build on those skill sets, across board. I tell people,
Okay.
no matter how amazing a course can look like, if you do not have the application of that,
Yeah.
it doesn't take you so far, across board. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. So those were the kind of that was what I was looking for. Because lots of times people come in and like, I'm a senior manager and they want to continue at that pedestal and they just get stuck.
Yeah, sometimes you might need to take a step down, but do not make it completely far from what you do.
True.
Itself. So yes, you're a senior manager in risk. How can you find a different vertical to what exactly you've been doing in risk that can still keep you within that space itself, right? So maybe you're a product manager. Can you get a product owner role?
Mm,
instead of a product manager role? Maybe can you get a instead of a senior product manager role, can you get an intermediate product manager role? So I'm literally just getting into the system and then integrating into the system as much as
mm,
possible. Yeah.
that makes sense. All right. Tell us about your biggest, the first win, because you have so many wins. Your first major win in the United Kingdom. What was that one thing that maybe a product you launched and oh, this is it. Eureka, you've this is it. Please share. And how did you achieve that win?
I think it was getting a job for me. I just felt like,
Oh, okay.
okay, this is possible. I didn't know anybody from anywhere. I didn't have any connections, you know. I just prayed to God, put in the work, you know, prepared for it, and then I got a job, right? I thought that was really, really special to me because it just gave me some level of confidence as to where
Yeah,
exactly I was, right? That I can prepare, I can pray to God, and then I will get something out of life, right?
lovely.
So, and this was after 6 months, you know, itself, after doing a lot of interviews, putting just trying to understand, and it was part of the culture shock as well. How did the interviews go? What are the things I need to say? How do I go about it? You know, how do I structure the conversation? You know, what are those interesting part of things, you know, around there? And then I got the job, which was um maybe 20 times my annual salary that I was getting, you know, at the time in nine. So I think that was my first major win in the
I want to
UK.
ask you something. I want to ask you something. You said after 6 months. So, the first time you said after 6 months, we were like, okay, at least you're still getting paid from Nigeria. But now you're saying after 6 months of consistently applying and
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
interviews, and unfortunately on this account, we're not able to, after so many of those kinds of emails, then you got that one email.
yeah, yeah,
Because the reason why I'm trying to emphasize this is because that email, unfortunately, on this account, it breaks hearts. It breaks
yeah,
lots of hearts.
yeah,
But you have been on this journey for 6 months.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you only need one yes. That's the thing.
Amen.
You just need you don't need two jobs to make you happy, right?
Yeah,
You need one yes, you
just
need
one.
one email, you need one customer, you
Just one.
just one. You just remember it's just
No,
one.
that's deep.
Yeah, and it's all a point, right? I see it
Yeah,
as a point. Rafael Nadal, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, mentioned something. He said it's just a point. Whether you win or you lose, it's just a point. So remember, it's always
yeah.
just a point, right? So all of the, unfortunately, all of the we cannot go ahead with you. All of those were just the points, just one point, just
Mm.
one point. Yes, in quote, you call it losing, but it was preparing you for the next
For the
stage.
next one,
Yeah.
yes.
So, but one thing is that please do not throw in the towel. Do not give up. Do not feel like, oh, you know what, I've done it for 2 months, you know, I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop. Life requires momentum. You need to
yeah.
keep putting in that momentum consistently. You need to keep rowing the boat. Yes, it can be
Mm.
tough, it can be difficult, but keep rowing the boat, keep rowing the boat, keep rowing the
Don't
boat.
give up.
At some point, the wind will support you. The wind will
Correct.
support you. You wouldn't even need to row anymore, and then boom, that becomes your yes itself. But you never know when the wind will come. So, um, yeah, it's keeping at it. So it wasn't like, oh, I just waited for 6 months and then after 6 months, boom, the job came. No, I was
Yeah.
applying, it was interviewing, I was refining my CV, I was interviewing, I was refining, I was applying, I was interviewing, I was
Mm.
refining my CV, you know, speaking to multiple interviewers, you know, and then the job came itself. So yeah.
All right. Thanks for that bit. Um, Now this I've been waiting. I've been holding myself in for this segment. I think this is the more technical part of what we're going to be discussing. It will fall
Yeah.
into the second part. Um, In 2022, I want to personalize this. In 2022, I took a course on project management, and I found that I've been doing project management all my life. So just kind of like a change. I awoke. So I did a course in project management, and I fell in love with Agile and Scrum. Then I was given my first paid project to do, and I was supposed to come up with a risk register, and that was a sum up of all the possible things that could go wrong. And you and I were in a group, and you pitched one AI to use, Pace AI. You are one of the founding founders for that group, and you kept selling it that you guys don't know what you're missing. Just use this AI for this, use AI for. I remember that one sunny afternoon at my former apartment in the UK. I was like, okay, so this project, what's one thing that could possibly happen? And I was having this you know how writer's block thingy. I wasn't I was like, okay, let me even try this AI thingy, Pace AI thingy. That was my first encounter in the AI realm. And I just put the difference, a short bio of the project I want to do, threw it in there and hit generate. And that was how you, Nelson, got me addicted to using AI because it changed the entire dynamics of work for
Yeah.
me. Now I proudly say I am an AI agile coach. You cannot get in a project with me without
Yeah.
using AI
Yeah.
because my mind opened up to the potentials. What are those likely things I've not even foreseen?
Yeah.
All I now need to do is just narrow it in. So tell me why in God's holy earth you went about building that product.
Mhm. Okay. So ChatGPT came up sometime in early 2022, and that was like generative AI. At the time, I'd met my friend Patrick. You know Patrick, and
Mm,
I had done an analysis of a case study. I think Signature Bank had just gone bust at the time, and I did an analysis of that from a product management point of view. Right at the time, being a product manager, and then Patrick and I connected, like, okay, we need to do something with this AI. This is blowing up. A lot of people are talking about it. What are the things that we can do? And then we started thinking about things, around that, across different, all sort of interesting ideas. Um, and then Patrick had quickly just gone into doing a user story. And for those that do not understand a user story, it's basically a tool that literally helps you put in a stakeholder, one stakeholder, one problem, and one outcome, right? Itself, right? So that is what a user story does. And then build a user story generator tool where people could put in a simple problem, into the
mm,
user story, and then it could generate some level of output, right? And
mm,
then this did about 3,000 people used it, in a space of a month, which we
mm,
thought was absolutely mind blowing. And we realized that, okay, let us come together, let us put something together. What are the things that we can do? We sit in a group of people,
mm.
and especially as Black folks, you want to be at the helm of affair. You want
Yeah.
to ensure that you're taking the reign across board. A lot of conversations around AI. You want to keep building on that over time. And then that came into place, itself. So essentially, we built the tool, got about 40,000 users. But the first part was that we sort of knew that it was time for us to do something with AI
Mm,
because, again, there is no point not applying yourself if you have the desire. Remember the desire and then the
yeah.
application of that itself. And AI was something that was new. It's still new right now. We're still in the
Yeah,
very, very early days itself, and then that was applied, got into the groups, saw a way to help people, and then people
yeah,
started using the tool itself. So essentially, that was one of the reasons, like, okay, we can lead the conversation around AI. We can help people understand this is possible. It is not something to be scared about. It is not something to back down on,
yeah.
itself. And that level of capabilities was something that I wanted to sort of showcase. And then we're able to inspire people like you, and
Oh, yeah.
others as well to start using AI even beyond the normal work day-to-day activities. So yeah.
I kid you not, that product formed the benchmark when I did my startup, the Kronos startup. Um, that formed the benchmark with which we used to operate. So my team and I would, before you drop anything, the business analyst, before you come up with user stories and acceptance criteria, or whatever BRD document you're trying to generate, or the product team, with whatever document you wanted to generate, you have to have first get it done using an AI.
Yeah.
And there was a reason why I insisted that on that. The reason was because I wanted it to be rich. I wanted it to be in depth.
Yeah.
So things you haven't hadn't thought of, I wanted it to at least have suggested it to you.
Yeah.
Then we all part of the governance things that we did as a team was to make sure that every single person sat down together and read that document.
Yeah.
Why? So that things like hallucinations don't come in, because
Yeah.
you can't do away with it. So we
Yeah.
had to make sure that all T's were crossed, and we could only do that in group sessions.
Yeah.
So the impact of that thing, why I'm such a strong advocate of the use of AI is because it cut away inefficiencies and time wastes. On a project, I'd be like, I'm trying to facilitate my team, and the business analyst would be like, oh, we need 3 weeks so that we could um, refine the requirements that we have gathered and
Yeah.
build our business case. I'm like, okay, so middle of 2 weeks, where we are like, nah, that we need to visit the stakeholder again. And I'm like, why is it taking so long? My project chat, I could do that pretty fast. But you see, that product, you understand, just get the requirements, throw them in, and you have everything sorted out. And your team and you and your team will just go about it and refine it and
Yeah.
build the entire stretch of
Yeah.
what you expected to build in one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
In two
Exactly.
days, you are done. In two
Exactly.
days, you're done. And development starting. In fact, one of our products, one of the products that we recently launched, it was done within 1 week. In fact, we vibe before we get into the era of the AI product, but we're vibe coding the thing. We're just as we're
Yeah.
talking, deliberating, generating documents, we're building the products
Yeah.
as it was. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Which is very remarkable. And that's why I said this talking with you, coming out from your the backstory, me knowing you from the place of ACI is something that, and then how you have evolved. You
Mm-hmm.
did that as a product manager. So I wanted to say thank you, especially for changing lives of a lot of people with that product. You and Professor Giwa, thank you so much for what you guys have done. That's an amazing product that you guys did.